Jeff, what is the point of all this?
Well, Marrou says the most characteristic thing about all this teaching of rhetoric was that it gradually forgot all about its original aim, which was to prepare the would-be orator for real life by teaching him how to compose speeches that he would actually need for serious occasions. The chief place was taken up by imaginary speeches that scholars still insist on calling declamations. So...
Crazy.
It reminds me of very much of problems with education today.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Ad Nauseam podcast, where classical gourmands everywhere can finally get their fill. Join us for a delectable discussion of Greco-Roman civilization stretching from the Minoans and Mycenaeans through the Renaissance and right down to the present. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Dr. David Noe and Dr. Jeff Winkle.
Welcome, Ad Nauseam listeners, to episode 204. My name is Dr. David C. Noe. I am here in the Vomitorium Central, in the basement, the bunker, with my good friend and fantastic co-host, Dr. Jeffrey T. Winkle. How are you today, Jeff?
I'm feeling great, Dave. As I was telling you off mic, yesterday I finished getting all my fall semester grades in.
Nice.
And it was always a great feeling where you can kind of finally click that last button.
Absolutely.
And say, if students have a problem now, I simply don't care.
Too bad. You're roasting them. So you have dug yourself out of that deep snowbank of blue books?
It's the worst part of the job.
That's right.
But it's necessary.
Teach for free and get paid to grade.
Yeah,
right?
Indeed. Exactly right. Yeah.
Anybody get an A in those classes?
Yes, several. I had many excellent students this time around. Some really great mythies that were into it from start to finish. And so, it's been great. I cannot complain.
So now you're going to kick back.
Yeah.
And wait for the second semester to break upon you, right?
Yes, and with dealing with all that kind of holiday stress in the middle of that will take away from the kicking back. But I'm looking forward to a change of pace. And so, but how are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
We are thawing. We're going through a thaw here in West Michigan. Finally, today the temperature is going to crest, I think, 25 Fahrenheit.
Oh wow!
So in those moments,
tropical.
In those moments, we try to facilitate the melting of the snow, right?
Yes.
Shoveling it a little bit, throwing some salt on it, glowering at it from the window, shaking our fist.
I do a lot of that.
Yes, melt.
That's right.
Because I don't mind the cold so much, but it's very challenging to slosh around in this stuff.
Indeed.
And it comes up on your vehicle and on your pant legs.
Yeah, exactly. But the glowering helps.
I think so.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
If it's intense enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I should say, in the midst of a good glower, I like to unleash a boutade.
What are you talking about? Boutade?
A boutade is a new word that I learned this week, and
really?
I have just been dying for an opportunity to strategically deploy it.
Okay, I'm not gonna stand in your way. But does this have anything to do with the topic of the show today?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. We'll ride a segue toward it.
All right.
So a boutade, I came across this word in a book by one Paul Shorey. In his Sather Classical Lectures, Platonism's Ancient and Modern.
Okay.
Fascinating book. Maybe we'll do an episode on it at some point.
Yeah.
But a boutade, I had to look it up. Now,
are you the kind of guy that when you're reading something, you come across a word that you don't know, you immediately, do you sprint for the dictionary?
I don't know. Sprint?
Yes,
I lollygag.
You saunter?
Well, this is going to sound vain, and it probably is. But, after being a student for this long, it's not so common that you encounter a word that's completely new.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That happened a lot in the early days, in Macabre times, but now it's less, it's less common, more of a novelty.
Yeah.
So boutade, what is this?
What is that?
And so I found out that it is of French origin. It means a sudden outburst, whim, or playful sally. And I thought, this is a great word.
Yeah.
I thought immediately of canard.
Canard.
Which is another French word I like. Canard is onomatopoetic for the quacking of a duck, right? And so when someone says something ridiculous, you say, that's just a canard, right? Mm-hmm. Your bill's moving, but no sense is coming out.
Gotcha, yeah.
But a boutade is like a flash of wit or temper, often used in literature or music for an impromptu, fanciful piece or dance, similar to a caprice or witticism.
Wow, I like that.
I do too. Now, it's not quite warm enough for caprice pants, right?
No. No,
shorts.
we're ways away from
A long way from those.
Yeah.
But an occasional boutade, right?
Yeah.
Who could resist?
Now, I heard that this was actually a problem on the set of the show Different Strokes.
Really?
Yes, with the character Willis would go off script and just kind of launch into these witticisms.
Yeah.
And they started calling him Boutade Bridges.
That's a deep cut.
It is a deep cut, yeah.
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 Wow.
But I do not apologize for that.
Dana Plato.
Yes, Gary Coleman.
That's right. The whole crew.
That's right.
Mrs. Garrett. She probably doesn't have a real name.
No, she Mrs. Garrett from Out of the Womb.
That's
right,
correct.
Right.
So what are we talking about today, Jeff?
We are back to Monsieur Marrou. Yes, who what's his
Henri Irénée?
That's the one.
The guy with 3 French names?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can't get more. There's the tie-in.
That's of course.
Right.
I was thinking that all along. He enjoyed a good boutade.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right.
And we are going back to his tome. We've been working through this book for quite some time now, and we're picking up another chapter. What's the name of this book again?
This book is entitled, Jeff, I can't believe you don't remember this.
Well, I mean, you've got it right in front of you. I just didn't want to get it wrong.
All right.
Yes.
A History of Education in Antiquity.
There it is. Yep. And we are dealing with chapter 10, I believe.
Of part 2.
Of part 2.
Yes, he was a professor at the Sorbonne. His work was translated by George Lamb, and it was published in 1956. Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of have the impression that there are some listeners for whom this is a bit of a snoozer. But in discussing it recently with some friends, they said, no, we like this.
Okay.
Keep it coming.
Right. We're gonna make our way through the whole book
And
eventually,
I said,
right?
this is a big, thick book. You can be grateful that we're doing the reading for you.
That's right.
Because I think this is, on the whole, a more palatable way to consume a book like this.
Yeah.
Is to have it, I don't know, siphoned, dribbled through our collective intellect.
Exactly. Run it through the sieve and hopefully the best stuff comes out.
With the occasional boutade.
Right. Exactly right. And this chapter 10 of part 2, is on rhetoric in higher education.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the careful listener who spends most of their time combing through our catalog,
Well, without a doubt, yes.
right, or cataloging combs, I suppose, one or the other, will remember that back in episode 121, we covered some similar material. It's called Loading the Canons, The Art of Classical Rhetoric, and this aired on May 23rd, 2023.
It's ancient history.
Yes, let me read just a little bit of the description.
Okay.
This week, Jeff and Dave take a look at the 5 canons of classical rhetoric and how it is that great orators like Isocrates, Demosthenes, and Cicero gave their speeches to such successful effect. Was it nature? Were these men endowed with towering genius and preternatural giftedness? Yes, of course. Or was it nurture? Did they write speeches according to a fixed and carefully honed set of formulae? Yes, of course. This wide-ranging discussion, etc.
Yeah.
Frankly, who can read those long descriptions? You get about halfway through, I'm dozing off.
Dozing off, snoozing. Yeah. Well, I mean, Marrou addresses this very kind of thing. Where does the practical, mapped out application of a course of study meet to kind of the genius of improvisation?
That's right. And if I may, for a moment, in the last episode, we talked about my time in Uganda.
Yes.
Teaching in Mbali at the Knox School of Theology. In the afternoon, I was privileged to teach 15 men rhetoric and public speaking. And I taught them exactly this, the 5 canons of rhetoric.
You did.
We got the 5 fingers, right? So each finger represents one of the canons. And Marrou is talking about precisely this.
Yes.
So if you're interested in this topic, this is an excellent resource here, part 2, chapter 10.
Yes.
Therefore, Jeff, let's get started in the chapter, and I think you have the opening quote.
Yes, I think we're going to begin at the beginning. It's a good place to start.
Yes.
Yes. But the physician was nevertheless a specialist, a technician, and though in Hippocrates and Galen we find the true and interesting and thoroughly modern idea that a subject like medicine, if it is properly studied to its depths, can become a perfect and entirely self-sufficient manifestation of the highest culture, the physician becoming himself a philosopher, and the physician-philosopher being a demigod.
Hold on.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. No. The physician-philosopher can become a demigod? I just want my prescription of penicillin to make my cold go away.
Exactly.
I'm not interested in any ritual or religion.
No, not at all. Right. Well, let me finish the sentence here. So, the physician-philosopher being a demigod, nevertheless, this was not the generally accepted view in Hellenistic times. The pure technician was not normally regarded as a man of culture.
Okay.
Okay.
So strong division between the practical
Yes.
and the theoretical.
Yes.
So Marrou starts by, I would say, tearing down that distinction a little bit in terms of saying people like Galen and Hippocrates would not only study their craft, but they would also have philosophical aspirations,
Yes.
which could even take them to demigod status,
Apparently. right?
understanding things that mere mortals do not. But that was not the generally accepted view. So is he just saying that doctors in antiquity as today thought a little much of themselves?
Well, I mean, if the demigod thing has any kind of basis in true, I would say that that's kind of a dead giveaway. That they thought themselves as rather lofty.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he goes on to say that Galen himself, who was very keen to appear as an all-round man, lets us know that he had studied other subjects besides medicine. After a hard secondary schooling, which remarkably had even included mathematics.
There it is again. The ancients loved mathematics in a way that we do not.
Indeed. He went on to philosophy before he started on medicine, and then he studied the two together.
Interesting.
Right. So I'm trying to remember
Yes.
the last time we did Marrou. And
It's been a while.
It has been a while, but I'm hoping that you remember how the start of this chapter here builds upon what we had talked about in the previous Marrou episode.
Right. Well, chapter 9 of part 2 was on higher education lesser forms.
Okay, that's
and
right.
The very
that's right.
last portion of that chapter was the teaching of medicine. Right. How does one learn the medical skill?
Yeah.
Right. Internships. You follow around someone who knows a lot. You read books. You write things down. You study particular cases and so forth.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the background for a pivot.
Yes.
Basketball once more into chapter 10. Now we're going to talk about the queen of all the sciences, rhetoric.
Rhetoric, right. Now, I thought this was really interesting because in the opening lines, he talks about how Isocrates, who has come up a number of times in our
That's right.
discussion of Marrou, was in many ways dwarfed Plato
Absolutely.
in terms of his importance.
Most people have never heard of Isocrates.
That's what I find so
If
fascinating.
you say Isocrates, you'll often get falsely corrected.
Let's see, you mean Socrates?
You mean Socrates.
Drop that I, mister.
No,
Right.
it's a brand new Apple product. Isocrates,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No, I don't mean Socrates. I mean Isocrates.
I wonder if he would have survived better if he didn't have that name. And
That's interesting.
Like if he was
a more
Dave.
memorable or Dennis.
Dennis, right?
A more memorable name, a
Yeah.
little bit different than Socrates.
Yeah.
Well, Socrates or Plato, his thought is much deeper and more profound. I'm just going to say that. But
Yeah.
Isocrates was massive in his influence all throughout the Hellenistic era and well beyond, as Marrou makes clear.
Right. I mean, Marrou talks about how the whole business of rhetoric as an educational piece really starts in the 5th century with the sophists.
Yep.
Right. And Plato was famously very suspicious of the sophists.
You're right.
And he was very. He seems also to have been very suspicious.
Right.
Of glibness.
That's right.
And the power of the tongue to
That's
manipulate.
right. To corrupt things.
Yes.
He wanted to say things that were profound. Now, Plato was also gifted with an incredible stylistic genius that, surpassed Isocrates easily.
Yeah.
But Isocrates did not have that sort of animosity toward the sophists that Plato did.
Right.
Now, the year is approximately 1997,
Okay.
and I am at the University of Iowa Graduate School studying.
Yep.
And the very famous Peter Green of Brackish Tang fame
Yes.
is there.
Yep.
And we are listening to someone, I can't remember, maybe it was David Depew, discoursing on Isocrates.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter, who is deceased now in his inimitable way, accidentally took over someone else's lecture.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, not because he was pushy or rude. It's just that the man has such towering insight that whenever he enters the conversation, what everyone else has said becomes secondary and uninteresting.
Yeah.
Right? So Depew was talking about Isocrates, and Peter said something like, well, Isocrates shows the classic move to the right. As a young man, he's a radical. As he aged, he became an aristocrat and a hard-boiled conservative. It happens every time. Something like that, Peter said, and not a direct quote. And then the rest of the lecture and discussion was about that claim.
Yeah. Do you remember how people took that? Did they dispute it or?
Well, it's Peter Green. You can't really dispute too much.
Right.
He has too massive an encyclopedia of knowledge. to win an argument with him. It's just impossible.
Well, that's fascinating that you bring that up. And one of the things that I jotted down in my marginal notes here was about what Marrou makes a point of, that the study of rhetoric, or the presentation of rhetoric as a skill, was indeed quite conservative.
Yes, it was a massive conservative force.
Right.
Not conservative. Well, maybe you're going somewhere else with that, Jeff. I don't want to interrupt you.
Conservative in that it was the rules of it were kind of hardened and fast.
Exactly.
And did not submit themselves to change easily.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is something that's probably surprising to many individuals when they think about contemporary higher ed. A lot of people think contemporary higher ed is very progressive. And in some ways, maybe in its political positions and perspectives, there certainly is progressivism.
Mm-hmm.
Surveys and polls bear this out in terms of voting patterns.
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize is that higher education is, on the whole, incredibly conservative in the way it does things.
Yes.
It has really no sense, or very little sense of innovation or entrepreneurial spirit. It's just, well, we've always done it this way.
Right.
Let's continue that way.
Right. And it can just steer this back into Antiquity. This reminds me of Euripides.
Right.
And one of the reasons tradition says that he did not win as many prizes as Sophocles and Aeschylus is because he mixed it up.
Correct.
Right. He was pushing the boundaries too much, and the audience of a tragedy was very conservative.
That's right.
No, this is the way you're supposed to lay out a play.
Yes.
And they were the kind of these hardened rules early on, and were really resistant to change.
So that may be very interesting, Euripides, and in fact more amusing and entertaining than the other guys, but it's avant-garde.
Exactly.
So you finish third. You're fourth.
Exactly.
That's
Too many boutades.
That's correct.
I think was the official criticism.
So to connect it to Marrou,
Yes.
right? Isocrates represents this massive conservative force. Plato's ideas were philosophically unapproachable, perhaps, to a large portion of the audience. But what Isocrates promised was, I can teach you how to be a sophist.
Yes.
I can actually show you how to make this education profitable. And the rules he developed, they endured for hundreds of years.
Yes, yeah.
Which is really quite surprising.
I wonder if this has anything to do with, as Platonism progresses, from Plato's own day into what we would call Middle Platonism and Neoplatonism,
Right.
it becomes much more interior and contemplative.
Oh, yeah.
And so in that, and as such, moving directly away from the spoken word. It's more about what's going on inside your soul,
Right.
than what you're saying to a crowd.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
And some of those topics Marrou touches on. So on the same page, 194, Marrou says, this fact must be emphasized from the start. For a very great majority of students, higher education meant taking lessons from the rhetor and learning the art of eloquence from him. On the level of history, Plato had been defeated. Posterity had not accepted his educational ideals. The victor, generally speaking, was Isocrates. Mm-hmm. And Isocrates became the educator first of Greece and then of the whole ancient world. His success had already been evident when the two were alive, and it became more and more marked as the generations wore on. Rhetoric is the specific object of Greek education and the highest Greek culture.
I mean, that's astounding.
It is.
Right? I think that many people with a generic knowledge of antiquity, or even like a longtime students,
right,
would be floored by that.
That's right.
We're so used to elevating Plato,
right,
and just to use the comparison here, as being kind of at the top of this particular heap.
Right.
And we learned here that in practice, back in the day, it was actually quite not the truth.
Right. Well, I think one of the lessons that I take from this, as a person who is deeply conservative, I hope, is that you can't judge the value of something based on the reaction of the contemporaries.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. Things of real value take a long time to develop.
Yes. Yeah. No, totally true. Right. You need hundreds, if not thousands of years for something to be a classic.
Exactly.
Right.
So the top of 195, what is the historian's reaction? What does Marrou say about this prevalence, this dominance of Isocrates?
Yes. He says, a historian's first reaction is one of surprise. At first sight, it seems strange that the prestige attaching to the art of oratory should have survived the social conditions that had produced it and brought it into the foreground. For as we have seen, it was the political conditions of the 5th century, especially in the democratic cities, that lay behind the development of eloquence and oratorical technique. But in the Hellenistic age, the free autonomous city was a thing of the past, and political conditions centered around absolute monarchy. The orator seemed to have had its day.
Yeah.
So he's saying, in the city-state of Athens, where you have this experiment with democracy,
Right.
being able to persuade the masses was an essential, immediate skill.
Yes.
But once we start getting emperors, that skill is no longer
Right.
useful.
But it didn't fade from the stage altogether. It just got redirected into practical life, you might say. You're not learning rhetoric now for citizenship purposes, but for personal advancement, for business, and for leisure, I guess, just to have the ability to say things better than other people, and in a more interesting fashion.
Yeah. I love how the chapter goes on. He talks about this was a skill that it went beyond school. It was in your daily life, and people, old men declaiming
continued to practice
unto the grave.
Yeah, it's incredible. And there is a great story of one guy
we'll get to
declaiming in the grave.
In the grave, yeah.
So Jeff, when was the last time that you wrote a speech? I mean, both of us took a composition, right? A rhetoric and composition class at our alma mater. I even remember who taught mine, Deborah Freeberg, and I even remember one of the really abysmal speeches that I gave. But after that, right, you don't sit around writing speeches unless you have a specific occasion on which to deliver it.
Yes, right. No, I remember my my speech class very well, and I remember that we all had to give certain speeches, but they were like, this is your informatory speech, this is your persuasion speech.
Yeah.
And I just remember that when I wrote these speeches, that my main goal was to get the classroom to laugh.
Oh yeah,
of
course.
Right, no matter what the speech was.
Right.
And to have
I'm guessing you didn't have much success.
That effect. No, I killed. I slayed in that classroom.
You were like boutade bridges.
I remember that the informational speech.
Yeah.
And people are doing, well, how to bake a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
My friend Tim's did how to change the oil.
Very good.
I did how to mummify a body.
There you go.
Right. So I was out of the box and
coat hanger inserted up through the nose.
Exactly.
Removed
Rooted
the brain.
around.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Egyptian style.
Right. So, but to your main point though is yes, sitting down to make a speech.
Right.
I mean, times where I've been the best man at a wedding.
Okay.
Speaking at a funeral.
Yep.
Those are times where I'm going to sit down and maybe make some note cards.
Right.
But I would say that I do think of those speeches I made in that communications class, and I found that class very useful.
Really?
I mean, in a way of the skill of persuading people.
Okay.
The way of connecting with people. The skill of making people laugh and finding out kind of what works and doesn't work. Those are all rhetorical skills.
Yes, it was all leading to this podcast.
It was. yeah, exactly. Right. So I think I definitely took something very valuable away from my rhetoric classes, but that has not manifested in the sitting down and writing particular set speeches.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, what about you? I mean, what was kind of your experience in the rhetoric classroom?
Before actually coming to college, I had the opportunity to compete in a number of rhetorical contests.
So this is like forensics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my school didn't have a forensics, but there was an American Legion competition. There was a VFW competition. And then there was the National Management Association competition. And because I wanted to earn some money and pretty much the field was open, nobody really wanted to speak in public. They had agoraphobia, right?
Right.
I did not. And so I competed and I did really quite well. And then when I got to college, I took that class. And, I
killed.
I don't know about that, but I do a lot of public speaking now. I preach and funerals and weddings and so forth, but I don't really think of it in terms of what's contained in this chapter, though no doubt I use a lot of the skills that I learned in those other settings.
Right. Now, that's great. Now I want to bring up I don't know if we've talked about that on the show, but you were also part of the improv comedy team.
Yes.
Right? And Marrou talks about how you can prepare, you can map everything out, but
it's improvisation that people love.
That's what they love. That's where you really hook them.
Right.
And so, what about your experience of of having to be funny on the spot,
Jeff,
in front of a crowd.
Is this episode going to be all about me?
It is, right? Exactly. But no, I'm serious. How do you think about your time as an improv comedian in relation to kind of all these other kind of skills of speaking that we're talking about? Right?
Well, the one thing that I learned is that there's nothing that focuses the mind like pressure.
Yeah. Yes, right.
Pressure is an amazing stimulant to creativity. Mm-hmm. And that's why if there's something big I have to do, I deliberately try not to over-prepare.
Yeah.
I try to have clear and general patterns and outlines in my mind, but then don't over-prepare.
Yeah.
And sometimes that backfires a little bit because if the particular kind of muse doesn't hit, then you're left stranded.
Yeah.
So you got to have a backup plan.
Right.
But nothing focuses the mind, like pressure. And that's my general approach to a number of different things. I like the intensity, right, of needing to come up with something in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I hear you. That's one of my favorite things about the classroom.
Exactly.
And I love the way you put that is, prepare, but don't over-prepare.
Right.
And leave room for stepping off the ledge, right?
Yes. Also, see the mundane things you do as part of your overall preparation, right? So if I have to give a speech somewhere and so forth, I don't have to necessarily prepare for that specific occasion, but everything I do day by day in my normal routines and habits is a kind of preparation, right? So reading this Marrou book,
yes,
right? I'm reading this Marrou book in order to talk about it on the podcast, but the idea is also that who knows whether it will have some other application and value further down the road.
Right.
When I encounter someone who says, I really want to be a classical educator, but I don't really know how to do it. I can say, well, I spent this time in this book by Marrou, and here's something that you may find useful.
Yeah.
So the key to being prepared is do the daily routine stuff.
Yes.
I'm sure that's the same for you, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
As a musician, as a teacher, you got to do the basic stuff.
Right.
Otherwise, you've got nothing when there's an intense moment of pressure.
Exactly right. Yep. So you can rely on that foundation of kind of general preparation, and then you trust in You trust in the moment. You trust in kind of your skill to kind of take it in interesting, new, and wonderful places.
Right. And if I'm giving a sermon, I trust in the Holy Spirit to use me to say what needs to be said.
Yeah.
And in that instance, it's not really about the quality of my performance, so to speak. And in fact, I eschew that word, very deliberately.
Yeah.
Because it's a different kind of thing.
Indeed.
So in the middle of 195, that was an interesting excursus, for me at least. I hope the listeners enjoyed it. Marrou says, of the three kinds of speech which have been recognized in theory since the time of Aristotle, the deliberative, the judicial, and the epideictic, right? So the genus deliberativum, the genus judiciale, and the genus demonstrativum, the two former had not completely disappeared. So the deliberative is, I'm going to persuade Athens to attack Syracuse, right? The judicial, I'm going to bring up Eratosthenes on a charge and say that he's guilty, or I'm going to defend someone's innocence. Mm-hmm. The first two had not completely disappeared, but they had been relegated to the background as a result of the decline of the city system. Deliberative assemblies went on existing, but except in special emergencies, as for instance in times of political disturbance, when the city might side with one king against another, the matters discussed had become unimportant except from a municipal point of view.
Yeah.
Now to skip down and round out this part, the only kind of speech that had survived and was flourishing was the last of the three, epideictic eloquence, or the eloquence of the set speech. In something more approximating to decent English, the art of the lecturer.
Yeah, and I think as he also kind of expands this below, is that of the three, the epideictic is the most entertaining.
It is.
Right.
And to my mind, it's also the least understood today. If you ask someone, so you want to be a public speaker, typically they're thinking about public speaking in terms of being a good lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Like a Perry Mason. And then he turned on his heel and he looked at the jury and said, you must convict you must convict the, what am I looking at? The defendant? Right. Or you must acquit my client.
Yes.
Right. Or they think in terms of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yes.
Right? That they're giving a speech that's trying to move people in certain directions. But the third kind of oratory, which is the praise and blame kind, people don't think about that as public speaking really at all.
Yeah. No, very well said. So I'm eager to kind of get into some of the examples of the epidictic later on. I just want to go back briefly.
Yes.
Is when he talks about these deliberative assemblies still were around in the kind of the post city-state era. It reminds me of the role of the Senate. As we even get into the imperial era. Now, of course, it differed depending on who was sitting on the throne.
Right.
But for a lot of those imperial years, the Senate was kind of almost a useless deliberative body. Right?
Yeah.
It had prestige, but didn't really move the needle on it.
You mean under the Caesars?
Under the Caesars.
Oh,
yeah,
yes, for sure.
Right.
They were just kind of there in order to provide cover for the notion that this isn't really a monarchy.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I'm princeps, not rakes.
Right.
And they were there, I guess, just to keep them happy.
Keep them happy. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of a mark of prestige for these old school, royal or elite families.
That's right.
Right.
One of the 24 aristocratic families that had been pushed out of the actual holding of power, so that Augustus could have it all.
Right. Or another analog is much later when you get the position of cardinal being kind of bought and sold.
Oh yeah.
Underneath the more imperial popes and
simony.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in the late 20th century America, how many different families, right, participate in American politics?
Yeah.
Right. It's, I don't know, a couple dozen different families have held the presidency and have populated the ranks of the Senate and House and so forth.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that emphasis on oratory amongst kind of American politicians that kind of that comes and goes.
You're right.
I think when I remember when Obama came into the presidencies, much was made of his ability to deliver a speech.
Oh, and a very gifted speaker.
Yeah, right.
I was not impressed because I knew he wasn't writing them, and I knew he was reading them. But in terms of saying things in a believable fashion, unparalleled.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Just really persuasive.
Right, yeah. But yeah, as I was reading this chapter too, I want to get in this moment where we are now is that skill of being the genius rhetor, is that something that's still valued or has any kind of central place in our contemporary culture?
Are we going to mourn its loss? I don't know.
I don't know.
A eulogy for eulogies?
Right. Has it been kind of all TikTokified?
I don't know.
Right, persuading people in 30 seconds of
with an image.
With an image, of
That's
course.
right.
The image part is inseparable.
That's right.
From it. Yeah.
A kitten playing a piano that moves people far more than someone who can assemble 13 different figures or tropes together in a memorable fashion.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. But it also, when I lived in Chicago years ago, going with a friend, we went to something that I know that you'd be a huge fan of, is a slam poetry competition.
Oh yeah.
But
can't wait.
It kind of reminded me of this of kind of a kind of epidictic, right? A poem on the spot. I mean, a lot of them were the judges say, "Here's your topic. You got 30 seconds to prepare.
Right.
Give me a poem on this."
Right.
And it was really quite impressive and wild what some of these performers were able to do.
Yeah. I might like to try to participate and compete in that.
Yeah.
But strangely, I wouldn't want to observe it.
That makes perfect sense to me.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Page 197.
Mm-hmm.
The practice of rhetoric. Says Marrou, we can get a very clear idea of what was involved in the teaching of this highly esteemed subject. When a youth had finished his literary studies, he would leave the grammarian for a specialist in eloquence, a rhetor, sophistes rhetor. Rhetors were everywhere.
Now that phrase is terrifying. They're everywhere.
In every self-respecting city. They're at the grocery store, at the dentist,
everywhere,
at the bus stop.
Would you please leave me alone?
That's not Marrou.
No.
As we have seen, a wealthy patron provided the ephebes in Eritrea with one. There were more of them and more high-class ones in the great university centers that attracted foreign students. It might happen, as in the case of medicine, that a student determined to know his subject thoroughly would go from one teacher to another, but the principle of a personal relationship between teacher and pupil, a principle dear to Antiquity, still held good, and a group of disciples centering around the same master was often described poetically as a chorus or a theosos, or a fraternity, charos theosos agele fratria, so that the spiritual bond that united them had an almost sacred character.
That's interesting. Speaking of resistant to change, it reminds me of the system, as I understand it, to be like at Oxford or Cambridge.
Yes.
Where you are kind of connected with
tutorial.
The tutorial. You're connected to a master.
Yes, but what I have heard about those things, and I could well be wrong because I've never participated in one, is that the master, the Don, is actually quite distant. You just come and go and you sample from his or her genius, but you don't really establish a bond. And then I would like your thoughts on this, Jeff, because back when I was full-time in academia, one of the consistent drum beats coming from administration in every institution where I worked was you have to form a bond with your students. Mm-hmm. You need to not just be their teacher, but you want to be their mentor, preferably their friend. You want to get close to them. And this was seen as a superior kind of teaching.
Yeah.
As you might guess, I myself resisted that. And yet I did find other ways to form those bonds, but I kind of refused. I still want your perspective.
Yeah.
I kind of refused to try to do it first on a personal level.
Yeah.
So the idea was, if I can teach you to love the things I love, namely the content, then we can be buddies.
Yes.
But if you don't love the content, finish your assignments and move on to the next semester.
Yeah, without a doubt. Right? There has to be that kind of commonality for that to even begin to happen. No, I remember those same kind of encouragements or directives.
Right.
And I remember thinking, well, this is not something that I'm going to deliberately kind of push. If it happens organically,
right,
great. And there are a handful of students that I've kept in touch with. I go way back, and that's wonderful. But that was not my primary goal in the classroom.
Right. And I would say that if it is your primary goal, to the exclusion of what your main purpose is, which is to teach the content, you won't succeed in either.
Right. Yeah. And I actually found it quite off-putting and irritating when I would observe kind of like a hero worship between a student and a particular professor. I don't know, but
maybe others observe that in you or me. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. But
I didn't know about it. But
right. I mean, it was always good to you want to foster a personal relationship, but you want to keep an arm's length.
Correct.
Right?
There needs to be a little bit of formality if the
course.
content is going to be delivered.
Yes.
Can you read what Isocrates thought about this?
Yes, Isocrates, it will be remembered, would have liked to reduce this first part, the theory, to a minimum, but his views on this point had been ignored. Even Aristotle's rhetoric introduced new distinctions and new definitions. Aristotle imagined that his great synthesis, based as it was upon a systematic enquiry into all the books that have ever been written on the subject, the synagoge teknon, would standardize the way it was taught, but it did nothing of the kind. With each successive generation, the teaching grew more and more complicated, until it ended up with those exhaustive and exhausting tracts that dumbfounded any casual reader of the collections of the rhetors Graeci. So I mean, how does that square with kind of this conservative aspect? It's like it maintains kind of a core foundation, but it also kind of got out of control?
It got out of control, I guess, with the proliferation of new terminology and new ways to skin the cat, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
Right.
So Isocrates had said, okay, here's the theory. Let's lock this in. And Aristotle had thought, okay, now what I've done with my rhetoric, this is the final word.
I see. Yes.
But not to be.
Not to be.
Each successive generation wants to rehash all the same old stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, and everything old is new again. I mean, this reminds me of postmodern theory.
Oh, yeah.
Taking everything apart.
Well, sitting on the table in front of us and awaiting at some point an episode is a large collection of New Testament Greek textbooks and paraphernalia. So we covered already what's the best textbook for ancient Greek in 3 episodes. Eventually we're going to get to what's the best textbook for New Testament Greek. And I would say that it's the same kind of thing, right? Let's invent new terminology all the time. Let's rehash and circumnavigate the center of a donut once more.
Right, exactly. With the question, is this actually helpful, never really being asked?
No. And the answer, of course, is no.
No.
And speaking of circumnavigating the center of a donut,
yes,
it's time for the ads.
This episode of Ad Nauseam is brought to you by the great people at Hackett Publishing. Dave, you know I love these guys.
I know you do.
And they've been around as long as I've been around.
You love the cover. You love the catalog.
I do.
You love the great price.
I do,
The
yep.
generosity. They're giving away.
Yeah.
They're giving away the complete works of Aristotle, a 2-volume set.
That's right, and we will tell you how to get in the running for that at the end of the episode.
That's right.
Keep listening. But yeah, Hackett Publishing, they've got their offices Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Indianapolis, Indiana. For the last 55 years, they have been in the business of bringing excellent quality, excellent translations, attractive works of art to the masses. That's not going to break your budget.
That's right. And for the last 5 years, they have been in the business of promoting this podcast, saying that we would like the kind of thing that you guys do, talking about the classics in a sometimes lighthearted, sometimes intense way. We'd like to support that.
Yeah.
And so they have been very generously sponsoring this. Listener, if you would like to do two things, you would like to build your library, add to your collection of wonderful things to read in an affordable way, and second,
support this podcast, right? Go to hackettpublishing.com and check out their incredible, extensive catalog. Drop the books you're going to buy in the little grocery basket.
yes, Hackett, 2 T's in Hackett.
Yes.
Drop it in the grocery basket, and then there's a coupon code.
Yes, and I believe that coupon code is AN2025. So AN as in ad nauseum plus the current year.
And Jeff, what does that get them?
That gets them two wonderful things that will get them 20% off your entire order and free shipping.
Check it out. Jeff, are you ready for art that speaks to your story?
Always.
Okay, meet Della, a Tucson-based oil painter who captures the people, the places, and the moments you cherish with breathtaking detail. She has showcased her work in multiple galleries, illustrated books, and is often commissioned for standout projects. See her current works at her website.
That's dellachelpka.art, I
You're
believe.
going to have to spell that for the people.
That is DELLACHELPKA.art.
Okay, and when they go there, what will they find?
They will find an incredible array of the things you just described. You were just talking about, you got, was it a painting of some eggs?
It's a painting of an egg.
An
It's
egg.
called Sunny Side Up.
Yeah.
It is so realistic, but it's not photographic, right?
Right.
Because the purpose of painting is to draw out the character of the subject.
Indeed, yes.
And I think the character of this egg is that it's delicious and it wants to be eaten.
Wants to be eaten, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Della's stuff is amazing. I'm floored by people who can do that kind of stuff. So go to that website. Go to dellachelpka.art and find something that would look great on your wall. You're not going to have a hard time doing that.
That's right. With your coffee and your stack of Hackett books and then the great painting.
Yep. And if you put in this coupon code, Apelles, that's APELLES, Dave, that gives them...
Apelles was the most famous painter of antiquity, gives them 10% off their entire order.
Check it out. And lastly, this episode is brought to you by Ratio Coffee. These guys have also been with us for
5 years.
5 years now. And Mark Helwig is the genius behind this wonderful product. He is bringing these amazing works of art that sit on your office desk or your kitchen counter.
Would you call him an entrepreneur?
Oh, absolutely. I would call him an
Okay.
entrepreneur. And these wonderful machines that deliver the perfect cup of coffee every single time.
That's right. You've had the 8.
Yep.
You've had the 6.
Yes.
You've got the 4 at
4.
your office. You going to miss the 4 while you're home for a little while?
I do like that. I mean, it's the ritual of it. I love the
Yes.
coming in and pressing that button. I'm absolutely going to miss it, but not that much because I have the Ratio 8 at home.
Nice.
And I can just rely on that every single morning. It's great.
It is. It's really fine, high-quality coffee. It's an automatic pour-over, so you don't have to stand there. I have a friend who lives out in the Midwest. I believe his name is Jordan, and he has to stand there for his Chemex and pour that way. It's Jordan, come on, push a button. One touch, man.
One touch. Yep.
Yeah, you've got your bloom.
Yep.
What happens then?
That's where the off-gassing takes place.
Okay.
Get rid of all that horrible CO2.
And that's not Alan Bloom, the closing of the American Coffee.
No. He's welcome to come and have a cup of coffee anytime.
And then after that,
Then you got the brew.
okay,
And that's where kind of the magic happens.
Right.
And then the third stage, which really isn't a stage,
No.
it's just simply ready.
ready.
Yep.
And then you pour and you're ready to go.
Yep. And I think one of my favorite things about my 8 is the hulking flagon.
Oh, yeah.
That the coffee goes into. There's no scorch pad. There's
Kindle brick.
No, that kind of will kind of burn out and twinge the taste into something bitter.
It's a much wiser way to make coffee. Put the heat in the production of the coffee.
Yes.
Don't put the heat under the pot so you can bake it.
Right.
Make the receptacle such that it will retain its heat.
Yes. And these carafes that keep it warm for an extraordinary long period of time. So I love that. So, hey, listener, if you want one of these wonderful machines, the 8, the 6, the 4, do yourself a favor. Go to ratiocoffee.com. That's RATIO coffee.com/ad nauseam. And then Dave, once they've selected their machine, what should they do then?
They have to enter the coupon code ANRATIO, ANRATIO 2025, ANRATIO, and that will get them $20 off their entire order. Now, before we say goodbye to the ads here, I just wanted to ask a question about the carafe.
Yes.
Is this like a does this have a short spout, or is it sort of spotted and long-legged? It would be like a long-necked carafe.
Short neck, Dave.
All right.
Let's talk about some of the specifics here. And so, if what went into making an ancient speech, and what was the focus?
Yeah, what's the focus? What's the ingredients? So
Yeah.
we got page 198 here, and Marrou comes through again. He says, to give the reader some idea of the refinements to which it could go, I shall give an example of the eulogy, encomion. As we know, this came into the category of introductory exercises, progymnasmata, and seems to have been the first branch of his subject that the rhetor was determined not to surrender to the grammarian. It was also, as we have seen, the essential literary test in the ephebia competitions in Athens under the empire. So in other words, Jeff, I think what Marrou is saying is your first sally into this kind of exercise was you've got to give a speech of praise.
Yes.
You've got to give an encomium. This is how you cut your teeth, right? You make your bones. You got to start out in that way.
Yeah. Yep.
He says, but it was much more than a school exercise. There was no sharp distinction, as I have already said, between school and life. It was an essential part, together with the consolation, of the funeral oration, a literary genre that had many different variations, all of which were highly popular.
I mean, that strikes me kind of just inherently funny. That
Yeah.
I mean, the funeral oration. Oh man, that's so popular right now. Right?
Top 40.
Top 40.
Did you hear that funeral oration that so-and-so that Madonna gave? That was just
Exactly.
off the charts.
Yeah, but still didn't knock Pericles off the number 1 spot.
No. Isn't there something endearing about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I find that wonderful.
Everyone's going to die,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because everyone's going to die, shouldn't the time of their death, shouldn't there be something really excellent about the way that that's handled?
Yeah.
And I would say that today people put maybe a lot of, I don't know, they put a lot into the casket. They might put something into the food. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But for me, I want people to put things into the eulogy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, exactly. Just the other day, one of my friends sent me a link to, I mean, this goes way back, John Cleese of Monty Python.
Oh, yeah.
When Graham Chapman...
Also Faulty Towers.
Faulty Towers, right, exactly. When Graham Chapman, another one of the Pythons, died,
Okay.
Cleese gave the eulogy, and it is, as you can imagine,
Right.
I mean, highly irreverent and hysterical. But, I mean, very out of the box from what you'd expect at a funeral oration.
So, when you pass, Jeff, which band is going to play your funeral?
Oh, man. Oh.
Coldplay?
Oh, certainly not.
No, you don't like that.
I don't want to go out remembered like that.
Isn't that Chris Martin? Isn't that...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were a fan.
Yeah, pleasant, but not
How about
great.
the much cooler now Chili Peppers?
The Chili Peppers at a funeral.
But they're no longer red hot, though, right?
Well, they're getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
But Anthony Kiedis, a fellow Grand Rapidian.
Your friend Ben Folds, right?
There we go.
The folk guy. You want him to play.
Not folk, but
He's not folk?
No, piano rock. But,
It's something I don't like, so I thought it was folk.
Yeah, I think Ben Folds. That would probably be my choice right now.
Okay.
If he's still around when I'm gone.
So I'm trying to find an analog for all of the effort that went into the encomium, right? It's got to be something fantastic. Maybe there is just a hint of this surviving when a president dies.
Yeah.
All the former presidents and all the dignitaries, they line up, they pretend to be friends. They go to the National Cathedral.
That's right,
In
yeah.
D.C., and they honor the guy.
Right. But Jimmy Carter passed away about a year ago, right?
But no fantastic speech, no competitive events as we see in the Iliad.
Right.
Funeral games.
Yeah.
This is what I would like.
Yeah.
Fierce competition.
Yeah, I gotcha. Oh no, I hear
and
you. Yeah.
Professional music.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very much in the ancient wheelhouse here. Yes.
Are we off topic?
Not slightly, but let's bring it back.
So take us through the different sections here of the encomium. There's 3, right?
Yes, 3, but with all these really interesting subsections as well. But you had the exterior excellence.
Okay.
You had the spiritual excellences, and you had the bodily excellences.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first one, the exterior excellences. You're writing a speech of praise, and this is your first major composition. What kind of exterior excellences do you talk about for your subject?
Well, you talk about noble birth.
Okay.
Right?
So Winkle was born in Jennison.
Yeah. Oh, man, it doesn't get more noble than that.
Eugenea. What's the second one?
Environment.
All right.
Right. In that your native city, your fellow citizens, the excellence of your city's political regime, parents and family.
All right. So Jennison was well governed at the time. Is that right?
It was a golden age.
And then parents and family. Not only was Winkle born in Jennison during the Golden Age, but he's got a brother that's doing this, and his parents were professional figure skaters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Okay, so then after environment, what do we have?
We have personal advantages, education, friends, fame, public service, wealth.
So we're going to talk about your bank account?
Apparently, that's got to be. Everything's out there, right?
You ever missed a credit card payment? No, you don't have to. You don't have to confess on the air.
Right? Yeah.
Your credit score, I suppose.
That would be probably yes, exactly.
He crested 830 at one point.
Right. I want that on the tombstone itself. Right? But then also here, I love this: children, the number of children, and
the beauty
of them, how attractive your kids are.
I got 5, but 4 of them are losers. I have 4, just for the record, and they're all gorgeous. But isn't this interesting that this would be one of the personal advantages?
Yeah.
And then the number 7?
Number 7, happy death, euthanasia.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have to die in a dignified way.
Yes.
This is one of the reasons I don't play a lot of pickleball.
Because you don't want to die.
I don't want
to go out that way.
I do not.
Have you reached the age where you have to reconsider your plans for the day based on?
I don't know. No, there's nothing wrong with pickleball. It's just not for me.
Gotcha.
So much.
Yeah.
Okay, after exterior excellences, what's the second set?
The second one is, I think I got them out of order earlier, but it was bodily excellence.
Okay,
right?
So this includes health, strength, what you can bench, what you can deadlift, what you can squat. Beauty, right, had a nice head of hair.
Yep, good skin.
Bubble, maybe some Garnier Fructis in the hair.
Yes, exactly.
Bubbling vitality.
Yes.
And capacity for deep feeling.
Oh, wow, man.
This made me laugh out loud when I read that, because I thought, George Lamb, are you translating Marrou correctly here? Does this really go into your description of your subject in the encomium? He had a bubbling vitality and a capacity for deep feeling. That guy could suffer like you wouldn't imagine.
Yeah. But if this is the standard, I have some work to do.
Yes, you do. If this is an encomium of Winkle.
Right.
What about section 3?
Section 3, spiritual excellences. Our subsections here are virtues, followed by resultant actions, and again, another long list of subsets. Shall we go through these?
Yeah, well, because virtues, it's interesting that the first 4, right, are the standard classical virtues: wisdom, temperance, courage, justice. So Winkle was wise. He was always ready for a sail. He was temperate. I've never seen him drink too much. He had courage. He once ate a sandwich in Florence that I wouldn't have touched.
That's true.
And justice, he always votes properly. And then the other 3.
Yes, piety, nobility, and a sense of greatness.
Right. Now, is that a sense that you yourself have, or it's a sense you just give off?
I would hope that it's B there, rather than just like
all right.
You think you're so great. Yeah.
So then after the virtues, we have what?
We have resultant actions.
Okay.
And this is also subsetted. A, resultant actions as to their objectives, and then B, as to their circumstances.
Interesting. So let's go through these. As to their objectives, the resultant actions from those virtues were 1, altruistic and disinterested. Remember that time that you gave gifts to all the fellow residents of Jennison?
I did. Yes, exactly. It was very magnanimous.
It was.
But I expected nothing in return.
You were good.
Yes.
You were not utilitarian or pleasant.
Oh, wait, I wasn't pleasant?
Not especially.
Okay.
You focused on the moral quality, not just on, cutting corners or being everyone's chum.
Yeah, everybody got a Meyer gift certificate.
Your objectives were in the public interest.
Of course.
And number 4,
braving risks and dangers.
Yes.
Right, yeah. Those winters could get rough.
in Jennison.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
the celery fields. Okay, and then last,
Yeah, as to their circumstances.
that's right. So these actions had to be timely,
Yep.
original.
Yep.
No one's ever given a Meyer gift card to every resident of Jennison.
That's right.
I don't understand these. Help me with this one.
With performed alone.
Performed alone.
I guess you can't have any help, right? It's a
So if your wife and kids say, we'll help distribute those.
no. And you should say, I've got it, because you don't want to burden them.
I see.
Right.
So that's what it means to be great. And this all has to go into the encomium.
Yeah, right. And that reminds me of Heracles. One of the stipulations of
Yes.
his labors, like you couldn't have anybody helping you along.
What
right?
about Iolaus?
Oh, well, that would the Hydra.
Yeah.
That one got the asterisk because he
yeah.
had help, right?
Okay.
Yep.
There's also more than anyone else, question mark.
Yep.
I
Where's the question mark there?
I don't understand what Lamb is
Is there
doing.
optional here? Yeah.
There. Few to help him.
Wait, we just heard that you have to do these alone.
Old head on young shoulders. These are getting
That's kind of creepy.
ever more detached from reality.
Yeah, yeah.
That one strikes me as a boutade. Old head on young shoulders.
Right, yeah, it's very boutade.
Yeah.
Right. Against all the odds.
Okay.
At great cost to himself.
Well, $50 to every resident of Jennison.
That's rough, man.
It's gonna
That's good. That's good. Put you out.
add up.
Yeah, and then finally, prompt and efficient.
I like that one.
Yeah.
So you finished it all by 4:30, right? And
Yeah.
headed to the pub.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm done. That's it.
I'm done. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this is so. Am I to assume that these young kids cutting their teeth on the encomium, they get the outline like this and say, just you got to
Right.
fill in all these gaps.
They would just drop it into AI.
Yeah,
Clearly.
now they would. Yeah, exactly.
So easy.
Exactly, and it would spit out
That's right.
the great encomium. Right. Interesting.
Says Marrou, all this was absolutely basic, and other sections might be added. How highly eminent men had thought of him.
Mm-hmm.
All the striking deeds he would undoubtedly have done if he had not unfortunately died.
That's great too.
I love that one.
There you can let your imagination run
Go wild.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff would have opened for the Rolling Stones.
If only.
If only. Right. He would have probably been our next senator from the great state of Michigan.
Yeah, and then where possible, a cunning pun. Now you're talking your language.
Or two
on his name. So
I like that.
Demosthenes, for instance, was very well named. His name meaning the strength of the people.
That's right. To Demosthenes.
Yes.
Or references to other famous men with similar names.
So I could compare you to David Lee Roth.
That's right. I
Yeah.
could compare you to that giraffe for Toys R Us. Jeffrey, remember?
Jeffrey, of course. Yeah.
Or the names he might...
He might have been given. Ultimately with these rules, there are no rules.
I gotta get this laugh out. Yeah. Oh. Man. Whew. That last one really got me.
Yeah.
As the kids say.
Exactly. To think of the names they
Right.
could have had.
Right. So your parents could have named you Neil Armstrong.
They could have. Exactly.
And then think of all of the greatness that would have just glommed onto you by being associated with that name.
Exactly.
But what if they had named you something like Ulysses S. Grant?
Right.
And then somehow you share in all of his glory and accomplishments.
Right, man. Yeah, there's no
The field is open.
The field is wide open. Yes.
That's right. So where do we go next, Jeff? We have to wrap up this chapter pretty soon here.
Yeah, let's zip ahead. I thought that some of the stuff about when he was talking about improvisation was really interesting.
Yes.
I wanted to cover that.
Okay.
So I think we're at the bottom of 199,
Yep.
top of 200. And Marrou writes, in practice, this played a great part in oratory, though in theory the great thing was improvisation. So he says that mapping it all out
Right.
was very helpful, but
The huge outline, but then
Yeah.
at the last minute, just tear it all up and go for it.
exactly. But improvisation in both literature and music is always greatly helped by a well-stocked memory, right? That's where all kind of the mundane
That's right.
stuff is. You have it in the chamber.
You got the boutade, you got the canard, you got the petard, and the leotard.
The leotard, right? And then I love this line too because it kind of gives away that
Yep.
the era of which Marrou was writing. It says,
That's right.
As anyone will soon find out if he wants to develop a hot technique in playing jazz.
Don't make me laugh.
Sorry.
Don't make me laugh.
Right.
Finally, action. The actual delivery, the way to regulate the voice and say the words. Above all, the way to give point to the words by making the right gestures.
This is fascinating.
Yes, the Greeks, we must not forget, were a Mediterranean people, and they were not afraid of mimicry. I'm not sure what that means. But
Me either.
Marrou is a Frenchman. Even of a vehement kind. You want to read the next part?
Yeah, and here again, the thing that most strikes the modern reader is the lavish detail of all the advice. Gesture was codified as much as everything else, and hand play, hieronomia, was an absolute language in itself, hardly equaled anywhere else in the world, except possibly in the plastic art of India. Again, I have no idea what he's talking about.
No,
there,
it's okay. Just keep going.
But yes, admiration is expressed by turning the hand slightly towards the sky.
So raising the roof.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Closing the fingers one after the other, so kind of doing like almost a magician's flourish.
I don't know. Is it maybe like the beauty pageants, elbow, wrist?
Maybe.
Is that what they're doing?
Right. Little finger first.
Of course.
And then by repeating this movement backwards,
I'm lost.
opening the hand and returning to its original position.
That's difficult.
And that last part was he's directly quoting from an ancient source there.
That's right.
So it's not just...
the ancient source is Quintilian.
there it is.
Yeah, book 11 of his rhetoric.
So it's not just kind of your voice and your enunciation. You've got to get all the choreography down as well.
Right.
Right.
Exactly on point.
There's a scene from the HBO series Rome, where one of the main characters retires from the military and he wants to start a political career. And so he has to get this new outfit and he has to go out in the middle of the public and declaim, kind of announce his candidacy.
Right.
And there's a great scene, I mean, it's played for comedy, where he has tried to get all of the expressive gestures down before he can start speaking.
So it's kind of like Eisenhower, right? Hugely successful military man, but just kind of waltzed into the presidency based on that. I don't think he was much of an orator.
No, orator, right? Or kind of a darker comparison is someone like Hitler, right? Very expressive with his hand gestures and pulling his fists down and and getting all kind of worked up. His the choreography of his wild speeches was just as important as the words he was saying.
More important.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. One of the things that Cicero says that's not mentioned here in this chapter, but I find absolutely fascinating, is that Cicero says the eyes are the most important part of delivery.
Huh, yeah.
And why that is so startling is how could people see?
Yeah.
A massive crowd, were they close enough?
Right.
He said that the eyes convey the most information.
Yeah. But if you're in the rostra in the Roman Forum, you're standing way back by like the Vestal Virgins temple. What are you picking up there?
I think he winked. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Right?
What's he trying to say?
I'm going to buy another corn dog.
Right.
I think that's what's going on there.
Exactly.
I love this next paragraph. The danger of all this, says Marrou, a danger that Hellenistic teaching did not avoid, was that the technique would seem so perfect that it would come to be looked upon as infallible. With such an arsenal of rules and formulas and prescriptions behind him, with every possible aspect of every conceivable speech nicely docketed, the rhetor might, and often did, imagine himself to possess a sure and certain method that would always function perfectly and enable him to teach any pupil, however ungifted, the secrets of his great art.
Yeah.
Now, what this reminds me of is the development of this, you'll like this, of rock music at the end of the 80s and the early 90s.
Okay,
right?
Okay, please.
The big criticism of that kind of music was it's too formulaic.
Yes.
Everything is too polished, too much virtuosity, overly produced. And someone, then had to come in and cut it all away and say, this is all hugely artificial. Where's the feeling?
Yes,
right? Exactly. So that's what was happening in Hellenistic oratory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently.
Yes, exactly. They needed the arrival of punk. They need the arrival of grunge, right, to kind of cut it all down and bring it back to the basics.
Right. Well, Jeff, we're getting close to needing to wrap up this episode. So where are we headed next?
Well, we're going to kind of skip closer to the end of the chapter and just remind our audiences that there's so much good stuff here, but we can't cover it all. And take it as an invitation to check out this book on
right.
On your
Get
own,
a copy from your university library and read it.
Exactly. So on page 204, Marrou writes, this description, brief though it is, may have given some idea of how complicated the study of rhetoric was, with its continually increasing burden of new rules and regulations. It is not surprising that it took so many years to reach the end of it. In the 4th century AD, 2 students, St. Basil of Caesarea and St. Gregory Nazianzen, went from Cappadocia to Athens to complete their rhetorical studies. One stayed 4 years, the other 5, perhaps even 8. The truth is that there was no end to the study of rhetoric. As I have said, there was no boundary between the schools and the life of letters. A man of letters went on composing declamations, meletai, all his life. So he never stops. You never graduate.
No.
Right. And the transition from school exercise to public lecture took place imperceptibly. It is in fact known that the most famous orators amongst the later sophists were not ashamed to go on doing school exercises, including even the most elementary kind, the eulogy. Naturally, to show how bright they were, they chose the most unlikely subjects. You want to pick it up there, Dave? This is great.
Lucian, this is of Samosata, wrote a eulogy on a fly.
Of course he did.
Dionysius of Prusa, a eulogy on a parrot.
Now that one I want to read. Yeah.
I like this one. Favorinus on quartan fever.
Now that was a guy that was...
he was reaching for the stars.
He was, man.
That's right. But besides producing actual works of literature like these, any Hellenistic man of letters would go on practicing declamation as a student, so as to keep his hand in and keep on form. They went on declaiming year after year until they were old men, until they were in their graves.
Do you think their wives ever said, stop
Enough
declaiming?
already.
Yes.
Well, it was either that or, I don't know, dog races or canasta or bridge.
I guess.
I don't know what they would have been doing at the time.
Right. I guess you got to declaim.
You got to declaim.
Yes.
Yeah. Philostratus solemnly describes how, when the great sophist Polemon was dying, he gave orders that he should be carried to his tomb before he had drawn his last breath. The tomb closed on him, and as his household lamented his passing away, he was heard to cry out in a loud voice, "Give me back a body, and I will declaim again."
Man, Polemon, the greatest declaimer of all time.
That's right.
Man, that is
From
awesome.
the grave, his last words.
Oh,
Wow.
my goodness. Yeah.
So how does Marrou, Jeff, summarize all this, just to leave the people with a kind of a parting boutade?
Yeah. Yes, this is page 205. But it must also be recognized that, apart from its intrinsic value, such a system, open to all educated people and peacefully installed at the heart of a tradition that was passed down for centuries from generation to generation, meant a common standard, a common denominator between all types of intelligence, uniting writers and public, the classics and the moderns, in mutual understanding and harmony. Modern humanists, who have been perverted by the anarchy of romanticism.
I like that.
Always get a little angry, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Emerson, Hawthorne, Thoreau.
Yes.
Romanticism.
Anarchy.
Yes.
Right. Consider all this a mistake and deplore the resulting monotony of ancient literature. So these are the people who would say, blow up the canon.
That's right.
This is nonsense.
Bring in the literary equivalent of grunge.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. But when you think of the present disorder, our lack of any common doctrine, that's so interesting. One of the things that people talk about today is there's no common culture anymore.
Of any
right?
kind.
Everything is so fragmented.
Yes,
and
that's
here we have
right.
Marrou complaining about the same thing.
Exactly. 1956.
Yes, a long time ago.
Right.
Which is putting it mildly, for today, the unity of language itself is being questioned, so there you get kind of a whiff of the deconstructionists.
That's right.
It is impossible not to look back sometimes with nostalgia to classicism and its marvelous unity.
Nice, Marrou.
Man,
Right.
yeah. I love it when he pulls the gun out of the holster.
That's
It
right.
gets a little threatening.
I could be Marrou on a desert island with this guy. And a host of castaways like
Yeah.
Tina Louise.
Yes, and Don Wells.
Yes, and what is his name?
Gilligan?
No,
Right.
that's Bob Denver.
Bob Denver. Yes,
Or maybe it's John Denver. I can never
John,
remember.
Was he singing his
can't
tunes
ever
out there?
remember.
Yeah. Then you have
Alan McHale?
I think it's just Alan Hale.
Alan Hale.
Yes,
Sorry.
Russell Johnson, the
Oh,
professor.
that's who I was trying to think of.
Then you have Jim Backus.
That's correct.
And
Natalie French.
there we go, man. Exactly. Who
Together.
played Lovey? Yes,
That's right. Together we came up with all the names.
we did. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah.
Speaking of coming up with all the names.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
Yes, we do.
Right. And Dave, before we do, help our listeners learn some Latin and Greek. Would you already?
I would, yes. If you would like to learn Latin and Greek from me, if you would like to go from...
Neophyte to erudite.
Thank you, Jeff. I caught him mid-sip there. He was refreshing himself. Go to latinperdiem.com and check out my Greek course called Moss Method. Takes you from the ground up. I have people all over the world. It's very satisfying to have these folks as my students, learning the basics of Greek and doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I have one young fellow, Trent. He's just knocking it out of the park.
Great.
He's doing really well. And another fellow, Byron, excellent students. So you can learn Greek. I teach you the alphabet, syllabification, accents, verb endings, the whole 9 yards, and I do not use contemporary, but I use old-fashioned terminology.
And you get your students reading right away, right?
Absolutely. The
Yep.
very first lesson, practically, all you need is the first declension and some verb endings, and you're ready to go to town.
Excellent.
Charming stories. If you want to learn Latin, I use the Lingua Latina per se Illustrata by Orberg, published by our sponsor, Hackett. We're going to be running a big sale on the first day of the new year, January 1, 2026. So when this episode airs, and if you're thinking, I want to start the new year by learning some Greek and Latin, I no longer want to be on the sidelines, but engage in my own encomium, you might say. Maybe you're thinking about how you could have been named. Here's your chance to study some Greek and Latin. Check out that sale on New Year's Day.
Fantastic. And as always, we have people to thank. Our wonderful engineer, Mishka, who turns this around so quickly, makes us sound so nice and professional.
That's right. She puts the music in. She takes the pauses out.
Yep.
Something like that.
Exactly. She deletes all the kind of the angry.
Oh, man.
The angry barbs we throw at each
That's
other
right.
across the table.
Glowering at the half-melted snow.
Exactly. This podcast is glower free. Oh. So thanks to Mishka for that. And then how about this guy, Jeff Sheets?
Yeah. So my friend Jeff Sheets, this incredible guitar shredding master who's also a famous disc dogger. And if you check out the Facebooks and other places, you'll find that he took his disc dogs to a professional football game recently.
Did he really?
Yeah, he
Very
throws
cool.
these discs around, and then the border collies and the shepherds, they grab him out of midair. It's quite amazing. And Jeff graciously shared his music with us for the intro and outro, Thrill Seeker, and the bumper music.
What's it called again?
It's called Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Why can't I remember that?
That's all right.
But that guy can shred.
Yes, he can. Thank you so much for sharing your music with us.
Yeah.
And Jeff, if they want to get in touch with us.
Well, they can write to Dave at adnauseam.com. Don't forget that V in there.
Yes. Navseam.
Yes.
Or Jeff at adnauseam.com. Don't forget the V. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Suggest a new episode. Get yourself a shout out. We'll even take Corregenda.
We will.
Course.
Yes. And
what's on tap for next time?
I think we're going to talk about Virgil's fourth eclogue.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's the occasion?
Well, it's a little Christmassy.
What?
Because there's this famous notion that poem was interpreted early on as a prediction of the birth of Christ.
Okay, now we've talked about this off and on, like in the Cowboy Up Verge, which is about his first eclogue.
Yeah.
We've referenced it here and there, but we've never devoted an entire episode to it. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
And this is the perfect time of year to do that. So
that will be number 205.
Yeah, I look forward to breaking that down.
All right.
And Dave, I believe you have our gustatory parting shot.
Yes. This one comes from one Matt de la Peña, which means from the pineapple. It's from something he wrote called My True Love Gave to Me, 12 Holiday Stories. I don't know Matt, I don't know the book, but I like this quote. It conjures up a really interesting image. He says, I stayed there on the floor like that for a long, long time, eating and crying and eating.
Did this guy follow me to Taco Bell?
I don't know, but thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.